We're just excited to be here. And I think, let's see, we're ready for you, Nikki.
All right, is this on? Oh, it is.
Oh, it's to see that. All I had to say was ready for you, Nikki, and the wizards turned it on.
There I am. All right.
So first, before you start, we need your welcome. So this has to be a nice big round of applause for our dear friend from Aptos. This is Nikki Baird. Welcome her, make her feel at home. Okay, that was kind of lame. Let's try it. There you go. All right.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, my name is Nikki Baird. I'm the VP of Strategy for Aptos. I've been with the company for 5 years. We talk a lot about, let's see, I'm gonna have to see my slides to do this. We talk a lot about the future of the store and the impact of the changing consumer on the store. But given just how much there's been this kind of whiplash between a focus on digital and a focus on store, consumers went all digital and now they're coming back to stores, I thought a really great topic for today would be talking about how to measure the impact that digital has when consumers actually come into the store. So that's really hard to do. It's especially hard to do in the age of the death of cookies and the death of cross-app tracking. So coming up with creative ways to do that is becoming more and more important as we need to understand what consumers are doing, what their journeys really look like, and how they actually end up in the store and come back. So in order to do that, I'm going to touch a little bit on that kind of background that I just touched on, and then we'll talk about the choice about what you can do in order to adjust to this kind of whiplash behavior from consumers. And then we'll get a little bit creative, and I have some examples that show how you can better track how consumers transition from digital to store and back again. And I will say the one thing, if you're expecting this to be a story about sales, you should not, so we'll just take that off the table right now, but I'll explain why. All right, hang on. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to use McKinsey's shopper journey. This has been around forever. If you kind of label each one of those steps, if you will, you've got kind of these 5 steps, and if you lay them out straight, even though it truly is a circular process, and you look at where the store falls in terms of which of these pieces of customer engagement that it leverages, for the most part, the store historically has kind of touched it end to end, right? The way that brands worked were they advertised to, the way that retailers worked, they advertised to consumers to come to their store, and then once they got to the store, they were trying to persuade them to purchase products. Well, with digital, that's gotten completely turned on its head, and more of the store's participation in that customer journey has really eroded away to where pretty much right before the pandemic hit, the store was kind of getting into this world where it was really only effective at the purchase part of the process. Retailers had kind of just given away the whole rest of the front end of the customer journey, especially to the digital space. Now, of course, then we had the pandemic, we had this rush to digital, and of course, retailers followed. They had to be where their consumers are. But where we are now is we see consumers coming back to the store. And so now retailers have this question that they have to answer, which is, do I invest in the store to now make it, again, a better part of the front end of that customer journey? Or do I need to do things in digital that really help support that transition as that consumer moves from digital and then online into the store? Because that trigger and that acquisition part, or the trigger and the awareness part, a lot of that is going to continue to be driven by online. So the answer to that question is you need both, of course. It's not an either or. So I'm going to give you some examples. So if you go down the one path and you want to reinvest in the store, then here's just some examples of ways to think about. You want to map your activities to what purpose they serve in the customer journey. So if you're talking about explore, that's exploring the product, that's exploring the brand. You want to make sure that you're offering the activities in the store that support directly that explore kind of piece of the customer journey. Same thing with select. You don't just want to leave it up to the consumer themselves to select the products. You want to be able to provide services and assistance and information that doesn't necessarily all have to be delivered by the store associate, but you have to think about how is the store supporting this journey. It's an important part. And then advocate as well. We're seeing more and more where retailers are looking at, especially in the resale world, that's getting more important for fashion, how do I provide community and events that really support product ownership? So the example at the bottom, the sashiko or the kanta embroidery techniques, those are Japanese or Indian ways of repurposing, reusing, adding embroidery to gently used items to kind of transform the way that they look. So all kinds of things that you can do to help encourage consumers to really engage with your brand at more than just the purchase level when they're in your store. So an example, as well as something else that you can do, is you can create promotions that are in-store promotions that actually have a digital life. So Michael's clearance doesn't seem very exciting, and yet if you search for Michael's unboxing, you will find thousands and thousands of videos. So they actually put all their clearance stuff together into these grab bag boxes. You buy a box, you have no idea what's in it. It's $5, you take it home, and then lots of consumers have created these unboxing moments that they then have posted on YouTube that then drive awareness that these things are happening. Well, the only place you can get these items is in store, so it drives people to the store, and then you have to position that store to do the trigger and awareness and exploration part of that customer journey now that you have them in store, so that you can really take advantage of that circular customer journey. Now, transitioning to the other side, so supporting that transition from digital to store. So this is looking at the digital space and how do I bring the store to life more in that digital space. You need to digitize your store inventory to make it more visible online so that when consumers search for you, they don't find just that you have this product, but also that you have this product in this store that's close to them. We've seen a lot of interest in live streaming and using store associates as advocates or affiliates and leveraging their social presence towards the brands, and then driving online shopping activity into stores through buy online, pick up in store, or click and collect. Also very popular these days, returning online purchases to store is a much more cost-efficient way of accepting returns from consumers rather than having them drop it in the mail and come right back. And some examples in the resale space, ThredUp has been very aggressive in partnering with retailers to enable the resale world. And it's not just about selling resale items in that store, it's about serving as a collection point where consumers can bring items that they want to offer up for cash from a resale perspective and get money that they're then standing in the retailer right there that they could turn around and spend if they wanted. So when it comes to measuring this stuff, sales is always the default answer, right? The distance between the consumer and the item in a store is very small. And so the temptation is to say, I want to measure the sales impact of any of these activities that I do online. But it's a sugar hit that fades really fast. So don't just measure sales, pick an objective. That objective should be a much more granular level. I have some examples here, and then I have where they're tagged in terms of which part of the customer journey they are. And then pick an objective or a measure that supports that objective. So you want to make a direct tie between what's the actual behavioral activity that I want my consumer to have, and then how am I going to measure that that behavior actually occurred. And that's not all about sales. It could be about enrolling in the loyalty program, for example. And in fact, a lot of those benefits really focus on things that are deeper than sales, and that sales is an objective, but you have to do all of these other things in order to get consumers excited enough to be loyal enough to you that you build towards sales. So if you ignore all of this softer side, just because they happen to be in the store, then you're leaving a lot of value on the table. So if you must measure sales, then I recommend sales per engagement minute spent. So I have a definition here, but I'll go into it in more detail here. The total engagement time that a customer spends with your brand divided by the total sales. And then you can start looking at it in more granularity. You can look at that by channel. You can look at that across channels. But what you really want is is not to hit some objective, but to set a baseline and then see how you're trending against that objective over time. That way you know that you're moving the needle with the consumer. So, that's what I promised to tell you. Just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the things that you can do to measure cross-channel activity between consumers. Don't just measure sales, but pick specific objectives that you want your customers to do or have, and then measure some aspect of that so that you really know that you moved the needle. And that's it.
Wow, what a great presentation. How about a hand for Nikki Baird? This is really cool stuff, right? I mean, it's busy and it's the world we're living in, so thank you for being such a big part of it.
Thanks for having me.
What a great speech. This is the type of stuff we've been listening to. Talk about experts, right? I know you're vice president, so you know this stuff, but still, to be able to present it that way, a good job with the microphone, too.